In the video I did for Akai showing off the 3.5 update for the Force, one of the features I didn't cover is tempo automation. And I'm going to be blunt, that feature is kinda janky, but I at least have a decent understanding of how it works and would like to try to demystify it a bit in this unsponsored video. Also, if you recognized me in that video and said nice stuff, thank you so much. That being said, let's get into it. All right, so I've got 3 different scenes or rows here. And then a transitional one. And finally, my extra little drop. And I already have each row set to its own tempo. So if I hold down Edit and then select my row and go to Settings, I can check the button that says Set Tempo. I've got the tempo set here. If I go to the next one, you'll see that the tempo is set to 124 BPM, and that's the same on my drop. So I'm going to go here into an empty sequence. You'll see this took on the tempo of the row I just launched. And I'm going to go to the arranger, which is empty. I'm going to confirm that I'm recording to arrangement, and I'm just going to extend this and then record these 3 rows into my arranger. So technically speaking, now that I have an arrangement here, tempo automation has already been implemented. So if I go to listen to the arrangement, hopefully you saw that this BPM here just immediately jumped up to 124. So there is already tempo automation baked into this sequence, but we can make it smoother depending on how much patience we have. So the best way to do this is to do it through the list view here. And you've got your events, which is probably familiar if you've used list view before, but you've also got tempo here. And you can see the tempo events that line up to when I launched each of my rows. So this entry here is the first row being launched, with 88 BPM being locked into it. This is the second row being launched with 124 being locked into it. And then the third row also with 124 baked into it. So we can use this insert button here to insert incremental tempo events. So the easiest way for me to wrap my head around this is to go back to the arrange here. So bar 5, beat 1 is where my transition starts. So that's where I want my tempo automation to also start. So let's go to list, go to tempo, hit insert, and it'll default to where you are in the timeline, which is nice. So that's this here. I'm actually going to delete this one that's at a bit of a random time interval. That's not helping me. I think because the tempo is changing, when those initial tempo automation events are recorded, they're not lined up exactly to the grid, so I'm going to override them manually. So let me go back to the arranger. I'm just going to go, let's say, forward to bar 6, back to the list, insert, it's locked into there. And now I can just like scoot this forward to bar 7, back to arrange. Okay, so we know bar 7 is here. Bar 8, let's insert a tempo event for that. And then finally, bar 9 is where we know we want our tempo to definitely be at 124. So back to the list. I think that's what this represents, but I'm going to nuke it in favor of doing it manually on purpose. So now we've got our tempo events, and I can start to tinker with these tempos. So let's go from 88 to, say, 90. I'm just going to do this fairly arbitrarily. Say like 95, 100, maybe 105, 115. That's probably close enough. And if I go into my grid, let me open this up and select sequence tempo, you can see that automation there. And it is stepped, but it'll sound, I think, smooth enough. So I should mention, you can automate this. I don't recommend it because there is absolutely no precision to it. And so I would much prefer to use the list here and just put up with inserting a bunch of tempo events and being kind of granular with it. And I don't think you'll hear it being stepped ultimately. So let's run it back. So that's your clean transition, and you could see this BPM changing over time. You can see it scroll through these. So hey, that works. That's pretty cool. Here's the problem. This tempo automation is now baked into this arrangement. And by baked into the arrangement, I mean it is baked into this sequence here. So no matter what I do, if I go and launch rows, that tempo automation will still apply. And so if I let this play for long enough, it'll eventually do that little ramp up that we just programmed in. So the way to get around that is just to switch to a different sequence. Where the tempo automation isn't present. So you can kind of use a sequence as a way to like quarantine tempo automation, or for that matter, I think any kind of automation. That's one of the benefits of it, but it does mean that I had some very frustrating troubleshooting sessions trying to figure out why the hell my tempo automation was kicking in when I was launching other rows. It also means that that tempo automation isn't really usable for a live set context. It's mostly for a studio context. The different rows being different tempos is definitely good for a live context, but I think for a live setting, you would literally have to do this on the fly, which maybe that's fine. And so in that way, having the separate tempos on separate rows is still useful. Although I should note, sidechain, like the mother ducker, tends to be a little spotty once you switch to a new tempo, so you might have to use that with caution. If you'd like to see that video on Akai's channel, you can check this out up over here. I did put a lot of work into it. And if you'd like to see me review all of the new native instruments, MPC, and now Force plugins, you can check this video out up over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with a new video in a little bit.